Alright guys, today I'll be reviewing Fury 325. This is the other big one along with Orion that I realized I haven't done a full review for, and I definitely think it's about time because if you know me, you know my take on this ride, and if you don't, well, you're about to find out. But like any other review, let's get started with the presentation. I personally think this is the second weakest looking of the 5 North American Gigas. I do like it slightly more than Leviathan's presentation. I do like how it goes over the entrance and everything, but other than that, it really doesn't do anything for presentation. The sign looks cool, but I personally don't think it's as cool as something like Banshees or Leviathans. But it doesn't really matter, because Gigas aren't about the theming anyway. So once you actually get up into the station, you'll choose your row, and I would recommend trying the back and the front, but if you somehow only got one ride on this, I'd recommend waiting it out for the front, because the speed is definitely this ride's biggest strength. And specifically, I'd say go on the unload side. I think the airtime's just slightly stronger on there in some cases, but it doesn't make a huge difference on this ride like it does on others. Just like many B&Ms from Cedar Fair parks, you've got a clamshell lap bar and seatbelt combination. I definitely do not like the seatbelt. It's not one of my favorite seatbelts out there. You can't get it super loose, but the clamshells at least make up for it. Those are definitely some of the most comfortable restraints in the industry. The ops here are pretty quick. They're definitely on par with ops like Orions and Leviathans. They aren't the fastest in the world. I wouldn't say they're better than Mako's, but they're definitely very efficient. So you're going to start out of the station, head up the lift hill, and then head down your first drop. And I do think this is slightly weaker than Orion's. It's about on par with Leviathan's. It's solid, it's very sustained, but I feel like it's definitely floater. It's stronger floater, and just like the other B&M Gigas, this thing is eternal. But it's just not my favorite, especially compared to Orion's, which I do feel like has a bit more kick to it. I do notice both Orion and Fury slow down at the top of the lift hill, but I felt like the slowdown was definitely more substantial on Fury than Orion. And also Orion does have a slightly steeper drop, and I wonder if that actually does make a difference like it does on Iron Gwazi compared to Steel Vengeance, because it definitely feels like you get yanked over Orion's drop a bit more than you do on Fury and Leviathan's, but this is still a great first drop. So then you're going to bottom out, really feel all that speed, not really get any positive Gs. There are no positives to be found on this ride, but it's good for the speed. And then you're going to hit a nice fast turn, and this is what Fury's all about, are these fast turns. For the entire first half of this ride, it will feel like you're still going over 90 miles an hour, and that's really this ride's biggest strength, is that you do feel like you're flying the entire time. You got that wind in your face the whole time, and it's just great. But here's my main complaint. This first turn doesn't do anything. No laterals, no positives, no airtime. On the first really low to the ground turn, where the support cracked, you do get a little bit of laterals, especially on that unload side, but nothing too great. You don't get airtime, you definitely don't come out of your seat, you don't really feel positives. You get gracefully thrown to the left, and that's about it. And that's the same story for the next turn. You get gracefully thrown to the right. And I mean, it's cool and all, but this whole section just feels sort of like test track, but a bit faster. I mean, it's definitely more exciting. You're more exposed. You do get those slight laterals. And of course, the track's bending, so it just looks cooler. But it's not that special. This whole section, I hear some people saying, is one of, if not the greatest part of any coaster. And it's just not. It's not even close. This is definitely the most overrated section of any coaster, in my opinion. This is just a step up from Millennium Force. This is not even close to in a league of its own. After this, you're going to hit the treble clef, which is a very cool element. In the front, you get some weak floater. In the back, you do get stronger floater, but nothing too crazy here. It's nice. I definitely compare it to Candemonium's drop off its turnaround, but I do think it's slightly stronger and more sustained than that. You're definitely going to get some okay sideways floater on this, especially on that unload side, but it's nothing too crazy here. It's not one of the greatest elements of all time or anything like that. So then you're going to dive into a tunnel and come back out into the worst part of the ride, which is this big turn after the tunnel. This turn is so worthless. You do nothing on it. You don't get laterals or positives, nothing. It's there for show, basically. and then you're going to hit a trimmed hill, which you get some okay floater on. It's nothing too special, but, if I were comparing this to other B&M hypers and not the best coasters in the world, I would say this is pretty good so far. But since it's a Golden Ticket Award winner, and even people who aren't GTA voters claim it's a top 10 coaster in the world, I have to say that this moment sucks, because it does if you're going to compare it to those top tier coasters. After this, you've got a lackluster Helix. This is here to extend the ride time and nothing more. You don't really get any positives or laterals on it. I will admit, you do still have a good head of steam here despite the trims, and I'll give Fury some credit. It's got a really good sense of speed. In fact, it's probably a top 5 coaster in the world if you want that sense of speed, especially in the first half. And in the second half, you still get a little bit of that. Definitely not as much, but you still sort of feel the speed around this Helix. But then you'll hit 2 twisted airtime hills, and people say this is B&M ejector. I think Goliath has what people say Fury has. Goliath has legit ejector airtime that can rival RMC's. This, on the other hand, is just good floater. It's definitely not ejector. It's not even flowjector, I think. It's stronger floater. After this, you'll have one last pop into the brakes, which if you're in the front, you'll get a little floater here. And then that's your ride on Fury 325, which is apparently the best coaster in the world. Yeah, it's not that impressive when you actually break it down. If you like flying at 90 miles an hour and feeling the speed in your face, then maybe it is. But me personally, I want a coaster to actually do something. And what doesn't help Fury for me is how smooth it is. This ride's glass smooth, which sounds good, but for me at least, that just makes it all the more uneventful. And it's just sad that of the 2 Golden Ticket Award winners, Phoenix and Fury, people say Fury is the one that actually deserves the Golden Ticket Award, whereas Phoenix is the one that shouldn't even come close to it, whereas it's definitely the other way around. Phoenix, I don't think it's the best Woody in the world, but it's right up there. Definitely deserves it. This thing should not be sniffing the top 50 steel coasters in the world. If you saw my top 100 coasters in the world prediction, you will see right at the start of the video, I left Fury off of the list. That is not to piss you guys off. That is me genuinely thinking Fury is not a top 100 coaster in the world, because it doesn't have the ingredients to make it one. It is not quite a top 30 coaster for me. It's 31. It's right there. It's right up there with Mako and Orion for me. But it just doesn't do anything to put it up in that elite class. It's really fast. That is all this ride is fast. So for Fury's final score, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I do admit, it's really fun. It's got some good airtime, good restraints. It's one of the best coasters in the world for speed, but that is about it. If all you care about is sense of speed, then maybe this is a top 10 coaster for you. But for someone like me who actually wants violent airtime and violent laterals, I cannot even conceive of putting this in my top 25 right now. This is the most overrated coaster I have ever been on. And hopefully when I get back to Carowinds, I have a different opinion of it, but I just have a bad feeling I won't. So let me know what you guys think of Fury down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.